After an amazing race at Talladega last week, we come to the home of NASCAR, Super Speedway this week for round one, Maestro's Classic ARCA Series playoffs. Tony Trapasso up in the booth with you, joined with me by my new partner in crime, Mr. Mike Damone. And Mike, welcome to Maestro's Classic.
Yeah, it's good to be here, Tony.
So, qualifying already finishing off as we are in the first round of the playoffs. Let's take a quick look at our point standings coming into tonight. Ed Morris currently sitting atop the pile with 128 points, 10 points to the good over Alexander Brown. And then you've got another 10-point separation back to Dennis Weeks in third. Jason Brewer, Justin Lemke, Matt Greenhouse, Kevin Franks, David Elliott, Ed Morris Sr., Robert Colgan, Jeremy Knapp, and Brian Wasserman all making the round of 12. Only 10 drivers showing up tonight. Wasserman and Colgan deciding to sit this one out. So sorry about that technical difficulty, folks, but 10 drivers or 12 drivers making it into the first round of the playoffs. Only 10 showing up here tonight, Mike. So that's going to put Colgan and Wasserman behind the 8 ball going into next week.
Definitely will. I mean, every race is going to matter here when you're talking, championship and playoffs here.
Oh, very much so. And it's not just every race; it's every single bonus point you can collect as well. With points being available for leading a lap, leading the most laps, and etc. Every single bonus point you can collect is going to pay huge dividends as we move forward in this playoff series.
Yeah, every point matters. It'd be interesting to see how this race shapes up with only 10 drivers making the trip down here.
Well, it is 10 of the drivers that are in the playoffs, so it's going to be hot and heavy here tonight at Charlotte. Let's take a quick look at the track conditions. We've got mostly cloudy skies, 88-degree ambient air temperature, relatively cool 94-degree track temperature to start with, but that's going to go up, especially if that sun peeks out behind those clouds. But what really has me worried is that west wind. Currently sitting at 14 miles an hour. It's been gusting to about 20.
Yeah, definitely take effect on the tires with all that heat, heating it up and making it a little slick out there.
Well, they're going to be hitting a crosswind going through 3 and 4. So that's going to be something these guys are really going to have to deal with. And during the practice session, I saw right in the middle of 3 and 4 is what's been catching everybody out so far tonight. So that's something we're definitely going to want to keep an eye on. These guys are going to have a 75% fuel fill tonight going into competition and 4 sets of tires. So the set of tires that they qualified on is the same set that they've got to start the race on. Then they've got 3 extra sets in their pocket with no fast repair tonight. So everybody's going to have to mind their P's and Q's, especially early on, considering we've got to go 120 laps here at this 1.5-mile quad oval here in Concord, North Carolina. And while we are waiting for the drivers' meeting to end, we are going to step away and pay a couple of bills, and we'll be back in a moment, folks. And we are back at Charlotte. Just drivers meeting, getting ready to wrap up here. Let's take a quick look at our qualifying order before these guys are going to roll out to the grid. Ed Morris, your current points leader, currently sitting atop the pile, setting an unofficial track record for the ARCA car with a 30.924. Going to be starting inside of the 97 of Dennis Weeks. Row number 2 is going to give us Justin Lemke and Jeremy Knapp. Alex Brown and Matt Greenhouse rolling off in row number 3. Row 4, the last two drivers to actually lay down qualifying laps. Ed Morris Sr. Going to be rolling off inside row 4, and outside is going to be joined with Jason Brewer. Kevin Franks and Mike Franks both electing to not take time in the qualifying session. So 10 drivers showing up here at Charlotte for the first round of the playoffs for the Maestro's Classic ARCA Series. As Mike, this is, I believe, your first race with the series. I know I was under the weather last week, so I couldn't make the trip down to Talladega. But what are your expectations coming into tonight with the ARCA cars here at Charlotte?
Well, the ARCA cars at Charlotte, I mean, you're either looking at a lot of green flag runs, or you could wind up with a few cautions here or there. I definitely think that these guys are kind of hoping probably for some green flag runs with only 10 cars in the field, get this 120 laps over pretty quick.
Yeah, absolutely. As again, only 4 sets of tires to get it done with tonight, so tires shouldn't be too big of an issue. But if we get long green flag runs, expect the guys that are going to pit first to make some major headway, and that undercut is going to be huge here tonight, considering what the tire fall off usually is. Cars starting to grid up. Looks like we've got everybody on the grid, so we are just waiting for the pace car to start rolling now. There it goes, and here we go to turn these guys loose for 120 laps here at Charlotte. And am I seeing things, or is Ed Morris smoking a little bit going into turn 1?
Yeah, might have got there a little quick there.
I could have sworn I saw a couple of whiffs of smoke coming out of the back of the 7. Something we're definitely going to want to keep an eye on as the run progresses, because if that motor's smoking already, it's not going to bode well for the opening round here of the playoffs for the points leader. But,
yeah, definitely,
definitely,
definitely won't. I mean, he gets behind some cars and tries to draft, and it's already a little too warm. You never know; it might blow that engine.
Absolutely. So something we're definitely going to keep an eye on is your pole sitter, the 7 of Ed Morris Jr. As the field works its way through the 3-4 complex, just waiting for that pace car to make that hard left turn onto pit road. As here we come out of turn number 4, the only thing that's left to do is wipe the visor, adjust the 5-point safety harness, because race fans, it's showtime!
Ed Morris got that nice jump off the start there. Dennis Weeks is going to try and move around Justin Lemke to get down towards the bottom, but Lemke's still hanging on there.
Yeah, Lemke got a great jump out of that inside second row position. Field's starting to get pretty single filed out already, which is something good to see this early. Guys, kind of minding their P's and Q's, just trying to see what they've got for this first run. And then we're going to see some hard-nosed racing toward the end of this thing, mark my words.
Definitely. I mean, log some laps here at the beginning, get those tires warm, and kind of see how far you can go and get ready for the end.
Absolutely. As closest battle on track right now is your battle for fourth between the 35 of, or battle for third between the 35 of Lemke and the 67 of Alex Brown. The Canadian looking to the inside of Lemke coming off of turn number 4. Lemke going to block him off coming through the dog leg. Still stem to stern right there at the front of this piece. And we've got a battle brewing for 6th place as well because we've got some side-by-side action in the mid-pack.
Yeah, the 34 of Jason Brewer on that outside line, and the 14 of Ed Morris Sr. making that inside line work. 51 of Matthew Greathouse on the outside, and the 82 of Mike Franklin trying to figure out where to go, if he's going to stay high or go low.
And it looks like the 82 is going to go to the high side with the 51 of Greenhouse. Pulls alongside of Ed Morris Sr. Sr. going to have to slot back in line and kind of regroup and think this over again before he tries that move one more time. And that's something we've been able to see ever since this latest tire model has come out for the full 100 stock cars, is that second lane is you're able to finally defend in the second lane, unlike with the old tire model where it was single groove racing and forget it. You get to the inside of somebody and you've got them.
Yeah, that's definitely a good thing with this tire. I mean, you can stay on that outside and make at least a little bit of a ground instead of just having that, single lane, stem to stern, run that you have.
Absolutely. As that battle for third starting to heat up again between Lemke and Brown, as Lemke not really pushing the issue yet, but he does get a little bit of a better run through 1 and 2. Brown gets a better run through 1 and 2. Lemke seems to get a little bit better run through 3 and 4. We're going to see how this one plays out as the tires start to wear off, as Greenhouse and Franklin going back at it for 7th.
Yeah, hey guys, just checking in here. Matt Greathouse going underneath Jason Brewer, as we're going to see that all night. Like you guys said, all of that action we're going to see throughout the pack because of the high banking, because of the caliber of these drivers. Tony, Mike, it's going to get crazy. We're already seeing Justin Lemke up there trying to hold off Alexander Brown, the story of the season. Check out that paint job up front. When I first saw that, I thought there was an accident there. As Alex Brown goes to the bottom, he's going to try and throw the slider up on the 35. He is going to clear here. We'll see if the crossover happens through the massive tri-oval. Nothing doing there. Is Alexander Brown finally going to take third, Tony?
Absolutely. Brown, he was hinting at it for the previous about handful of laps. Finally gets it pulled off start lap 8. So we've already got some movement up towards the front of the field. Meanwhile, Ed Morris Jr. and Dennis Weeks Jr. have both just started to check out, as they're about 2 seconds to the good over this battle in the mid-pack.
Yeah, talk about story of the season. Ed Morris leading the most out of the entire series, but Dennis Weeks not too far behind on wins. But check out Alexander Brown. He's now in open air. It's so important in these ARCA cars to get out there and try and catch them. But you know what I saw the last couple of races is Ed Morris and Dennis Weeks kind of using their stuff up early to try and get away from the pack, and how that's going to affect them as Matt Greathouse gets to the bottom of Nap. We're going to start seeing these passes become more and more perilous.
And Knapp battling back on that second lane, not giving it up too soon. Finally going through the dog legs, going to have to relinquish it. Thinks about looking down low, but then realizes he's got the 34 Brewer right on his back bumper, and he's going to have to slot back in and regroup, as Brewer on the attack now, as Knapp trying to hold him off for 6.
Yes. Never jumped down to that inside line. Tried to get his nose on the inside of Jeremy Knapp there. And as you see again, that 82 of Mike Franklin right behind that 20.
Franklin giving Knapp a good shove right now, able to maintain that number 6 spot, as here comes Brewer one more time on the inside, has the nose out front in the middle of 1 and 2, and Franklin's going to go with him this time. Franklin kind of playing both halves against the middle, as Ed Morris Sr. has to chase it down the hill coming off a 2. A little bit of loose condition, getting that cross breeze, which is right now gusting to 14 miles an hour.
Oh.
Almost contact between Brewer and Knapp coming across the stripe. That could have gotten real interesting real quick.
Yeah, these guys are not going to give it up, with track position being so important, guys, because we only have 10 cars in the field. cautions aren't going to be a given. You may not be able to bunch up, so you've got to get past somebody that's slower than you as quickly as possible. As we talk about it, the 97 and the 7 going to battle here. Dennis Weeks trying the outside of the 7, nothing doing there as Ed Morris has it, but the pressure is on with Alexander Brown and Justin Lemke waiting in the wings for this battle up front to get hot and heavy.
Absolutely, as these guys are 2 seconds to the good, almost half the distance of the back straightaway, if you want a visual reference. But here comes Weeks one more time. Morris going to pinch him off, coming off a 4, side by side through the dog leg they go. Weeks with a head of steam coming out of the dog leg. It's going to be a drag race going into turn number 1 with Weeks having the advantage with those out front.
Gotta love the high banking here at Charlotte as these guys are able to hold off, but we're going to see that top lane kind of give up. 97, every time he has to hold it on that bottom line, he's heating up that right front tire, getting a little more wear. That's just going to hurt him more and more as we go, but Ed Morris trying to keep that thing out of the wall, just unable to get past. What an evenly matched battle we've got going on here for first on lap 15 of the first playoff race of the Maestro's Classic ARCA Series.
Finally getting a bonus point for Dennis Weeks as he had the nose out front coming across the stripe, so scored as the leader that time by. Weeks still with a head of steam coming down the back straightaway, still in lockstep, Weeks and Morris, as Weeks going to get the advantage, going to throw the slider coming through 3 and 4. Those two guys finally get that sorted out, but that has let the freight train led by Alex Brown to close in on these guys by about half a second.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, those two playing, tap dance up front definitely let the 3 cars coming in behind them catch up. I mean, they went from a 2-second lead down to almost 1.5, so they're definitely making some progress here.
Absolutely, is that battle with Lemke, Greathouse, and Brewer still hot and heavy, as they've got about a half a second gap back to Mike Franklin, who's leading that second pack. But right now, everybody kind of minding the P's and Q's again, playing nicely, not getting overly aggressive, but we are going to see the aggression start to ramp up as we've already got 16 in the books.
Yeah, it's going to come down to pit strategy if we keep this up and keep these long green flag runs.
Very much so, as Brown still leading that freight train, as Brewer, I'm sorry, that's Greathouse in the 51, trying to get some clean air coming through 3 and 4, but that's letting the 34 of Brewer start to get into this battle as well, as what was a 3-car tango for third is quickly becoming a 4.
Yeah, it looks like the 51 at Greathouse is going in and out, trying to get some clean air on that nose and maybe trying to figure out what line he wants to run. But it is allowing that 34 Jason Brewer to catch up.
A little bit of bump drafting coming off of turn number 4 as Greathouse gets into the back bumper of Lemke, give him a little bit of a shove. Come on, guy, hurry up. We've got to get going. As we got Jason Brewer starting to breathe down our neck as Brown continues to hold on to third right now, as here comes Greathouse to the inside of Lemke, thinks better of it going into 3.
It looks like he started to have the run and just decided, better not do it, as he puts his nose down on the inside of the 35 of Jason Lemke again, through that dog leg there coming to the stripe.
Still side by side, pulls alongside of him, door to door as they go into turn number 1. And almost gets into the back of Brown going through 1.
It looks like Brown saw him coming and just shut the door on him.
And that's what you kind of got to do here, especially with track position being so pivotal right now, this early in the playoff, as Brown blows the corner entry and hits the wall in 3.
Yeah, it looks like he blew that corner, and looks like everybody was able to get through, and he recovered kind of nicely, but definitely gave up some spots there as he falls back towards the back of the pack here.
Absolutely, goes from 3rd to 7th just that quick. And I dare say that with the wow that he's got on the right rear quarter panel of that number 67, that's going to affect him greatly, as he has completely dropped off the face of the earth from this battle, as Greathouse was able to take over 3rd Lemke, Brewer, and Franklin now slugging it out for fourth.
Yeah, Greyhouse just kind of got clear. Now let's see if he can get that clean air, helps him catch up to those front two up there who are still pulling away.
We're talking about a 3-second gap back to Ed Morris. Sits in second place. Dennis Weeks Jr. is starting to stretch his legs a little bit. Has about a 4-car length gap between himself and Morris. And then you're a whole 3 seconds back to this battle. 3 seconds back to Matt Greenhouse. And then got a decent gap back to Brewer, Franklin, and Lemke. Is Lemke and Franklin going door to door for the number 5 spot.
Yeah, Lemke's still down on that inside trying to clear Franklin, and looks like they just keep going back and forth, side by side around the track. Oh, looks like Franklin just pulled ahead, and Lemke kind of said, I'll wait back here for a little bit.
Well, Lemke probably realized exactly what was going on with him having to use up more of his right front tire. He did that before battling up for third. Now is starting to fade a little bit as Franklin, not having the greatest qualifying attempt, actually did not take qualifying, as he's up 5 spots from where he started, currently sitting in the number 5 spot. Weeks, Morris, Greathouse, Brewer, Franklin, Lemke, Brown, Franks, Knapp, and Ed Morris Sr. running out your field. Ed Morris Sr. not having the run he was hoping for, currently sitting at the tail end of this piece. But Alex Brown seems to have recovered pretty decently. Still losing a little bit of speed as the arrow on that car is completely messed up as he's now falling into the clutches of Kevin Franks. Franks pulling alongside of him and going into turn 3. That is your battle for 7th, as those guys still door to door coming through 3 and 4.
Yeah, door to door, and looks like Brown is still going to be able to hang out for a little bit, but you got to wonder how much that damage is going to affect him when he comes later in the race, or if he's going to have enough time if we get a caution to get it fixed and back to where he needs to be to make a run at these guys.
Well, he's hoping for a caution, but the thing that we've noticed, with this car and with that damage, that makes that car incredibly loose. And you combine that with the 90-degree track temperature that we've got here tonight at Charlotte. It's definitely becoming a handful to hang on, as you can see him really fighting that car from mid-corner off.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, you can see him staying on that high line, and that high line is tough with the car that handles well. I mean, if you have a little damage, that high line is probably not the best place to be out there.
Well, it's definitely going to be better than the low line, because you really have to pinch the car down to get it to turn on that low line. As Frank's going to get by Brown, as now they start to set sail, as Brewer and Greenhouse go back at it. That is your closest battle on track for third right now, with the 51 of Greathouse having the position. Jason Brown wants the position.
Yeah, definitely. We'll have to see if these two cars can work together and kind of close that gap that Dennis Weeks and Ed Morris has built up. I mean, it's almost up to 4 seconds.
Yeah, absolutely. As Weeks and Morris have been two of the class of the field all season long. But, it's still anybody's race. We're still only working lap 29 of 120. Still a lot of racing left to do here tonight at Charlotte. And no, your eyes are not deceiving you, folks. The sun is setting very quickly here at Charlotte. So we are going to be under the cover of the lights here before this is over with.
Yeah, that's the other thing. With the sun going down, track changes when that sun disappears.
The track definitely does change. It's going to tighten up a lot as the track temperature gets cooler and cooler. That's going to help Brown a little bit with that condition that he's fighting right now. But he's still got probably about 30 or 40 laps before, the track's going to tighten up to where he needs it. The only bad news is it's also going to tighten up for the rest of these guys, and the speeds are going to go up and up as the night wears on. we go for third.
Yeah, Jason Brewer drops that inside line and makes a great pass on Matthew Greathouse. Greathouse drops in right behind him, and we'll see if he has anything left to come back on him.
Yeah, absolutely. Would like to thank everybody that's watching right now. If you like what you're seeing, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and turn on bell notifications, because we are doing this multiple times every night this week. As tomorrow night, if you like truck racing, Tuesday nights are the night for you here on the Esports Broadcasting Network, as we have the All-American Racing League Truckers Feed America Cup Series. That is going to be tomorrow. That's going to open up tomorrow night with their season opener at Daytona. And then we have round number 4 of the Western States Racing League, as they take their trip to Mid-Ohio for that roller coaster ride that is the Mid-Ohio Sports Car Course for round number 4, season 46. That is going to be a 10:05 start on that one. So, again, a lot of racing left this week here on ESPN. You don't want to miss a single moment of action, so hit that subscribe button so you don't.
Yeah, definitely. If you want to watch racing, definitely hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell. That way, every time we go live, you know what's happening.
And if what I heard is correct, we've got 12 races scheduled this week so far, and that's going to ramp up to just shy of 20 when February gets here, and a lot of the leagues start their seasons back up to mirror the real world counterparts. So a lot of racing scheduled here and coming up on the ESPN family of broadcasts. But right now we are at Charlotte for the Maestro's Classic ARCA Series. Dennis Weeks Jr. currently shows the way by almost a full second to the good over Ed Morris, your current points leader coming into tonight. As they're about 4.5 seconds to the good over this battle for third that we're watching between Brewer, Greathouse, and Franklin.
Yeah, and then behind that, we've got Lemke, Franks, and Brown. And then Knapp and Ed Morris Seniors bringing up the tail.
Well, Knapp and Morris are starting to pick that battle up a little bit, as they're only a couple car lengths separating the 20 and the 14 right now.
Now it looks like we got some good battles across the spectrum here. You got a battle up front between the top two trucks, or two cars, and then you have the battle here between Greathouse and Brewer that keeps going back and forth. And then even towards the tail end of the field, we got, the battle between Knapp and Morris Senior.
Absolutely. You're going to want to join us tomorrow night as well at 8:20 Eastern Time for the Rickmatech Truck Series, as they continue their next round tomorrow night. So, again, 3 races on tap for Tuesday. It's going to be a fun one to try to keep tabs on. But right now, again, this battle for third is pretty much our closest battle on track. And just as I say that, Franks and Lemke go side by side for the number 5 spot.
Yeah, Franks cleared Lemke, and looks like he's trying to make his way towards the front.
Yeah, Frank's not having the greatest qualifying attempt. Matter of fact, I don't think he laid down. No, he did not lay down an attempt in qualifying. Currently up 3 from where he started, running in the number 6 spot, and trying to weave his way through right now, as finally starts to set sail and try to reel in the 82 of Franklin, who's almost a full second up the road, as field's starting to get a little bit strung out. Closest battle currently is your battle for third between Brewer and Greathouse. About a car length and a half separate the two of them. And we are going to give you a little bit of sights and sounds of the Charlotte Motor Speedway. headphone wearers, I would advise you to be very careful as we're about to go into turn it up.
All right, folks. Now Dennis Weeks coming down at pit road. The green flag pit stops have started here at the Maestro's Classic ARCA Series, lap 46 of 120. Tony, Mike, what did you see during the break?
I saw Ed Morris being the first one to blink out of that top two, and immediately everybody starts coming in to try to cut off the undercut as tire fall off, looking to be right around 2 seconds.
Definitely. I mean, we have Ed Morris Sr.'s first one in. He came in on lap 39 right when we went to that turn it up segment. And he's out there on fresh tires, going to try and make up some time. That way he can maybe work his way to the front because he didn't have a very good first part of this run. But if he can get up front, maybe get some of that clean air, definitely set sail. Like I said, comes in early, tries to short pit, maybe get up front and get that track position. That's also important with these cars.
Very much so. As Matt Grayhouse going to bring that car down pit road as Morris and Weeks continue the battle that they had in the opening salvo of this piece, as Morris going to make the move coming through the dog leg, as that is your effective race lead. And actually, I take that back. The 82 Mike Franklin has the effective race lead right now, as he was one of the first ones to bring it down pit side on lap 40. Currently about a second to the good over this battle for effective second place. between Morris and Weeks as Brewer and Franks both come down pit road. They're going to relinquish the lead from these guys before they make it out of pit road. We're talking about a 45-second pit delta from cone in to cone out, as you're just a little bit shy of a lap from cone to cone with these guys up at full song. But right now, Morris starting to reel in Franks as Franks takes over the lead. Morris up to second, Weeks up to third.
Yeah, Morris is catching Franklin pretty quick. And the way they've been running back and forth up front, Weeks and Morris, looks like Franklin had to do something. I mean, he's up 9 positions from where he started, running about 31.5-second lap times. So get these fresh tires on, and maybe he can have something there for Weeks when he gets up there, or Morris when he's right behind him.
Well, Morris about a car length and a half off the back bumper of Franklin right now as they come through 1 and 2, as Weeks just kind of biding his time right now. We've seen him have a lot of late run speed. Morris has the early run speed, as Franklin right now on about 5 lap older tires starting to rear their ugly head, as Morris all over him coming into the dog leg.
Yeah, drops down to that inside line, gets that nice inside run, and will definitely clear him by the time they get to the corner if he keeps that pace up.
Just like that, full send it mode for the 7 of Morris. That's going to drop Franklin back to second, and here comes Weeks to try to pick off second from Franklin. Side by side going into turn number 3. Weeks with a head of steam.
Weeks with a head of steam and right back to the back bumper of Morris there, and these two are back out front. Seems like they've figured out this track and this car.
Yeah, absolutely. These guys have pretty much been the class of the field all season. As right now, coming into tonight, Ed Morris is leading the points. Alexander Brown, who currently sits in the 6th spot, we saw him eat the wall earlier, and that's going to drop him back. Looks like he may have gotten a little bit of damage repair to make sure that the suspenders are pulled back out. But Weeks coming into tonight, 3rd in points. Again, Morris, though, and Weeks, 2 wins on the season. The only other driver to do that is Robert Colgan, and Colgan not here tonight. So definitely huge points implications with missing the first round of the playoffs for both Brian Wasserman, who came in tonight in 12th position, and Robert Colgan, who came in 10th. Those guys are going to definitely be hurting next week.
Yeah, definitely will. I mean, nice thing about it, though, I believe there's another cut before they crown the champion. So as long as they get these races in to get those points to make it to the next round, it'll be all right. But you know, you're missing a race, you're missing bonus points, and it's hard to win a championship with that.
Yeah, absolutely. Is quick look at
Has 97 Weeks, jumps down to the inside and passes Morris for the lead.
absolutely is Weeks not wanting to waste any time, as we are going to be doing the Charlotte doubleheader. This week we are on the quad oval. Next week we're on the roval, and I wouldn't want to be coming into next week having to win to get into the next round of the playoffs, considering that the roval is a big wild card race.
Yeah, you take these cars onto a road course, it's definitely a lot different, and the handling on them definitely changes. I mean, if you're not a road course specialist, you get one of these cars, could be a rough week for you.
Very much so. As Greathouse and Brewer going at it right now. And I take that back. That's Lemke and Greathouse going at it right now for 4th position. Lemke has it. Greathouse wants it. As they come down the back straightaway, Greathouse looks to the inside going into turn number 3 and thinks better of it. Lemke tries to cut him off. Greathouse goes to the outside, trying to get some clean air to the front of that car. Now, again, these guys don't have a splitter. They just have that front piece at the front, at the bottom of the nose, that kind of cuts the air from under the car. That's how they generate the frontal downforce, is just like that. Franklin back up into the number 4 spot.
And Brewer's closing in right behind Lemke after he gave up that spot to Greathouse. And Brewer drops to the inside on the as they're door to door coming through that dogleg up to the line.
Lemke was one of the first ones to come down pit road back on lap 45. Brewer was able to hang it out a little bit longer. He came out on lap 48. So about 3 or 4 lap newer tires. It doesn't sound like much, but it's huge right now.
Yeah, definitely. You get those fresher tires. I mean, even you're talking, 4 or 5 laps, and that could be the difference. I mean, looks like between tires and fuel, looks like they're running anywhere between 40 to 47 laps. So you got to keep that in the back of your mind when you're talking, we're about halfway through this race right now. So 60 laps to go.
Yeah, absolutely. We are coming up on the halfway mark. We are going to step away and pay a little bit more of the bills, and we will be back with the final half of the Maestro ARCA Series round 1 of the playoffs here at Charlotte right after this.
Changing the face of the world doesn't happen overnight. It takes a strong group like no other, each containing unique characteristics, ones that inspire change and progress. To be a maestro is to lead, to inspire, and to create, helping shape both communities and industries. Changing the face of the world doesn't happen alone. It happens with strong leaders, ones that defy all odds. The first generation of barber maestros helped create the movement. The second will define it.
And we are back at Charlotte with the battle for 4th hot and heavy between Brewer and Greathouse. Brewer just not to be denied. Got a great run coming off of 2 and just slingshot move past Greathouse coming through 3 and 4. Greathouse going to try to battle back now as he's now in the slipstream of Brewer as Mike Franklin bringing it down pit road one more time.
Yeah, as Greathouse and Brewer continue to battle. Brewer up 5 positions from where he started, sitting in 3rd place. But with that being said, they still got quite a ways to go to catch Dennis Weeks and Ed Morris.
Yeah, absolutely. Is they're about 8 seconds up the road from these guys. As a matter of fact, Morris is 8 seconds up the road. You're another 2 seconds further to get to Dennis Weeks Jr., who's currently leading this piece right now. Now, we did have a question in the live chat about what's going on with Alex Brown in the 67. Alex currently sitting in the 6th spot. Still a lot of right side damage on that car from that early crunch he had going through 3, as looks like Mike Franklin has put the 82 on the hauler.
Yeah, I gotta wonder what happened there.
I didn't see anything major. It apparently just showed up, get the points, and did what in the real world they call a start and park. to get your points for your show-up points, you got to, at least go through the first tire stint. He did that. Did the fuel run, did a tire run, didn't like where he was running, and just decided, yeah, you know what, going to bed.
Yeah, I mean, looks like he's sitting outside the points, isn't he?
Give me a second here. As right now the battle for 6 starting to heat up as Alex Brown under heavy pressure from Kevin Franks coming through the dog leg. Those guys are in lockstep going into turn 1. Brown still fighting that loose condition with the right side damage on the number 67. So not going to be able to maintain a lot of pace as Franks with a head of steam going into turn number 3. Brown, though, fighting back as best he can, finally drops down, gets into the slipstream of Brown, trying to draft up to catch this battle between Lemke and Greathouse. As like Brewer and Greathouse still going at it.
Yeah, Brewer and Greathouse are, it looks like our closest cars on the track, battling it out there. I mean, you got to be thinking now you're getting close to 50 laps. Are we going to see somebody start to short pit? And since we've had these long green flag runs, I mean, you pit now, you might be able to make it to the end with a stretch.
Yes and no. I think tires are going to be the more important piece. So you want to try to have those fresher tires at the tail end of this race. So you guys are probably going to try to stretch these tanks out just about as far as they can get them to go. So probably we're not going to see anybody come down pit road till about lap 80 if they can make it that far. Currently working lap 70 of 120 here at Charlotte. The sun continues to set over partially cloudy skies. Lights are going to be coming on here momentarily as Dennis Weeks Jr. continues to show the way, almost 2.5 seconds to the good over second place Ed Morris, who's another 8 seconds to the good over this battle for third between Jason Brewer and Matt Greathouse.
Yeah, and then another 3 seconds back to Justin Lemke, and a couple more back to Kevin Franks, and then Alexander Brown, Ed Morris Sr. and Jeremy Knapp round out the field with Franklin having put his car on the hauler.
Yeah, Franklin not having a good time of it here tonight, as I don't think he even laid down a qualifying attempt.
Yeah, I don't believe I saw one, but he was running up there pretty good for a while, and then I don't know what happened, just ran half the race and decided he had enough.
Yeah, unfortunately, that's the case we're into. As you are correct, sir, Franklin was not in a playoff position. So David Elliott's the other one who's not here tonight. So he is definitely going to be relinquishing the 8th spot in points, as he had a little bit of a gap over Ed Morris Sr. Morris is here tonight. So Elliott, Colgan, and Wasserman all not showing up tonight. Jeremy Knapp going to improve his position as he came in 11th in points tonight. Ed Morris Sr. came in 9th, so those two guys are going to be moving up. Kevin Franks, who currently sits in the number 6 spot, came in tonight 7th in points, as Morris, Brown, Weeks, Brewer, Lemke, and Greathouse, your top 6 in points, are all looking to really improve their point standings going into that wild card next week here at the Roval.
Yeah, as we have this battle where Ed Morris Sr. was trying to catch Jeremy Knapp. It was one of the closer battles on the track between that. And then you have the battle for third between Jason Brewer and Matthew Greathouse. Other than that, everybody's pretty well spread out. As you take a look here at Matthew Greathouse from the rear bumper of Jason Brewer.
Yeah, absolutely, and that's a great shot. Kudos to James over in the production truck for giving us these great camera shots. Yeoman's work in that production truck over on the 1s and 2s. But short field shouldn't be too difficult to get another long green flag run in here, as we are currently 75 in the books. Weeks Jr. leads over Ed Morris, number 1 and number 3 in points coming into tonight. So those two guys putting the rest of the field on notice that if you want the championship, you got to go through the two of them to get it.
Definitely, they have definitely been the class of the field here today. Looks like they've been pretty much running 1 and 2 most of this race, and the race definitely goes through them.
Very much so. And all important bonus points currently. Weeks, Morris, Brewer, and Lemke all have a bonus point for leading 1 or more laps. Great House would definitely love to get one of those, as he's starting to fade a little bit off the back bumper of Brewer. You got to think maybe Great House went a little too hard, a little too soon on that fresh tire compound. But you look at the tire fall off right now, and Mike, you've driven this car a little bit more recently than I have. What are these guys feeling now that they've burned all the goodie off these tires?
Well, you definitely have to look at it and decide, how much steering you're going to have to give it, because you're going to be fighting it. I mean, if you steer just a little bit too soon, get on the brakes a little too quick, or even throttle off a little too fast, I mean, you could turn that thing around like nothing. I mean, you're basically out there on slicks, sliding all over the place. When you get towards the end of these green flag runs, you're definitely going to be wanting those fresh Goodyears.
When they are able to put the new tires on, you almost got to feel like Superman for about 5 laps.
Yeah, you definitely can do a lot more with fresh tires. I mean, you can put that car almost anywhere you want it with fresh ones. But like I said, once you start getting that tire fall off and they start getting slick, you never know what's going to happen. I mean, if you're just a little too hard on the brakes, a little too quick on the gas, I mean, you could spin them around. So definitely have to be careful when you come to the end of these runs. And like you said, trying to stretch out this fuel run and these tires for as long as you can to make sure you have the fresh tires with the when you get towards the white flag,
Absolutely. Is Ed Morris Sr. going to be the first one to blank of the cars still running? He is going to relinquish his lead lap position in 9th, as he was down and away for Mr. Feelgoods in the fresh tank of Go Fast for Senior, as still waiting on who's going to be the first one of our top 4 to blink, and who's going to try to get that undercut on the rest of them, as like Alex Brown calling no mas with the 67. He's going to be the next one to come in.
Yeah, it looks like Jeremy Knapp might have to make the decision to hit the pits or go a lap down, as this leader, Dennis Weeks, is just moving up on him pretty quick.
Well, he's going to go a lap down regardless. Question is, does he want to try to get the fresh shoes now and, try to make that up with the fresh rubber, or is he going to try to stick it out and, hope that the leaders pit before he does?
Yeah, definitely. But looking at the board right now, it looks like Alex Brown was in there trying to get as much of that damage repaired as he could, as he's just now headed out of the pits.
Absolutely. Almost 22 seconds in his box there for Brown, trying to get that damage repaired. It doesn't seem like a lot, but you're talking almost 8 seconds longer in-box time for Brown. That's probably going to cost him. And there's our answer for Jeremy Knapp, as he's bringing the number 20 pit side right now.
Yeah, it looks like he made the decision to get some fresh rubber and hope that he can make it up on the track when the leaders, Ed Morris and Dennis Weeks, decide to hit pit road.
Yeah, absolutely. But from the looks of it, Weeks not looking to come pit side anytime soon, though we are talking about a 2-second fall off between their fastest lap and their last laps, as 31:03 for Weeks' best lap. His last time across, 33 dead. Now it's 33.12. And Ed Morris in the 7, matching him stride for stride as he goes 33.11. So right there within striking distance of each other. Neither one of them really having an advantage right now. But Jason Brewer seems to be struggling in the 34 as, again, this field really getting stretched out right now as more than a second and a half at minimum separates everybody in the top 6.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, without any cautions to bunch these guys up, they're they're definitely running their own race out there all by themselves. I mean, Dennis Weeks is 2 seconds ahead of Ed Morris, and Ed Morris is 8 seconds ahead of Jason Brewer. And then, you know, Greathouse is a couple seconds back from him, and then Lemke's 5 back from that. So, I mean, when you're talking spread out field, this is exactly what we mean.
Very much so, as you kind of expected, especially with the short fields like this. You know, the cars do get stretched out and strung out, as we've got a couple cars trying to make some headway right now. Looks like the 60, yes, that was the 67 of Alex Brown, flashing by the 7 of Ed Morris, as Brown and the 14. So Senior getting by his kid on the fresh tires. You got to wonder how much longer Morris is going to stay out, knowing that he's still losing a little bit of ground slowly but surely every lap to Dennis Weeks. You got to think Morris is probably going to be the first of the top 2 to come pit side.
Yeah, as you see right there, Alexander Brown came into pits, got those fresh tires, and he got one of his laps back right there.
Got it back the hard way, as looks like Morris Sr. looking to do the same thing. Didn't quite get the run we needed to off of 3 and 4 to make it happen going through the front chute, but it's probably all but academic going through 1 and 2, though.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, you get those fresh tires, you're able to stick that car where you want it. And with Dennis Weeks on those older tires, he kind of slides around a little bit, has to be a little more cautious on where he puts that car. And he doesn't want to take any chances with, I mean, he's got plenty of time here.
Yeah, absolutely. And that battling with those lap cars has let Ed Morris in the 7 reel in Weeks just a little bit as Morris is in.
Yeah, first one to blink there. So you got to think Weeks will probably be coming down pretty soon too, unless he's trying to stretch it out some more. But I'd imagine we'd see him this time, if not next time.
Well, he pretty much has to come down this time to cover off that undercut that Morris is going to get with the fresh shoes that he's about to put on that car. As Weeks looks like he's staying out again. Nope, bring it to pit side. Had a great run coming through 3 and 4. So good pit entry for your race leader, Dennis Weeks. That should hand the lead of the race over. And just as I say that, Dennis Brewer comes pit side as well. Matt Grayhouse stays out, though, as he's trying to get that all-important bonus point that he hasn't yet gotten tonight.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, those bonus points will matter. I mean, if he doesn't think he has anything for the 2 leaders, Dennis Weeks and Ed Morris, getting that extra bonus point definitely will help in this championship cause.
Absolutely. Is Morris in the 7 down and away in 14.6. Weeks 14.72. So pretty much lockstep for those 2 guys coming off of pit road. As here we go. There goes Morris flashing by Weeks as Weeks comes out of the pits. And what was a 2-second deficit is now a 2-second deficit in the opposite direction.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, that extra lap definitely gave Weeks a little bit of ground he has to make up now.
Very much so, as Greathouse finally brings the 51 down pit side, making sure he got that all-important bonus point for leading 1 or more laps here tonight at Charlotte for round 1 of the Maestro's Classic ARCA Series playoff round of 12.
As you see there, Ed Morris got those fresh tires and went out and put down his best lap of 31.05.
Wow.
Oh, and he just bettered it that time with a 30.95. Dennis Weeks went 30.91.
The only two guys to go sub 31 here tonight, as the gauntlet has been thrown down. Morris and Weeks both want this all-important win, so they don't have to worry going into next week at Charlotte, or at the Roval, I should say, as Lemke and Brown going hammer and tongs at it right now.
Yeah, Brown got that car repaired, and he's been on a mission since then. Able to put that car where he wants it, and definitely looking to make up some ground.
Absolutely is. Great House, Lemke, and Brown slung it out for the number 4 spot. Jason Brewer is about 8 seconds up the road from these guys, though, currently sitting in the final step of the podium. But great run for Brewer so far in the 34. Currently up 5 from where he started. Almost shotgun on the field, currently sitting in the number 3 spot.
Yeah, he's kind of stuck there between Weeks and Great House with basically 8 seconds between either one. So out there all on his own, running his own race, hitting his spots.
And that's really all you can do with, a field like this, with these long green flag runs, is just hit your marks. And it's not you against everybody else. It's you against the track at this point. Just trying to turn consistent laps, keep that car clean, and just do what you've got to do to get as many points as you can here tonight at Charlotte.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, especially with the way this race is going, he's completely green flag. I mean, we're down to 25 to go and haven't seen that flag yet. As Kevin Franks passes Ed Morris Sr. on the inside there.
That was your closest battle on track for 7th between Franks and Morris Sr., as Franks with a little bit of a tire advantage by almost 12 laps. So Franks using the tires to his advantage, as Morris Sr. was the first one to bring it pit side under this current set of green flag pit stops. But his boy is really putting the field on notice right now, as Ed Morris in the 7, coming in tonight, your points leader, currently shows the way. Dennis Weeks Jr., though, starting to reel him in. What was a 2.5 second gap, now down to just over 1.25 seconds.
Yeah, it looks like Weeks has been running about a 1/4 second faster each lap, and is closing that gap on him pretty quick as we ride along here with Weeks.
Please see that nice tidy line that the 97 is using right now. Using the track, running the traditional line here at Charlotte, not sucking it right down to that blue line. And just, they say that he makes me a liar going through 3 and 4, but through 1 and 2, not sucking it down to that blue line, kind of letting the car run a little bit in the mid corner, and he's already made up 1/4 second in just that many laps. As Weeks continues his drive forward, steadily reeling in Ed Morris as the lap starting to close in. We are going to be 20 to go at the stripe. Ed Morris in the 7, your points leader coming into tonight, trying to hold off Dennis Weeks, who came in tonight 3rd in points. Weeks, I believe, has already clinched most laps led here tonight, as we are currently 20 to go. Wants that top step of the podium, currently has 2nd. So great points tonight for both these guys, regardless of what happens moving forward. As I believe that is Junior right behind Senior, and yes, it is. The Senior going to move to the high side, give his boy plenty of room as they come off of turn number 4. Like, hi, Dad, as he just flashes by. Ed Morris in the 7 leading the way here, puts his dad a lap down as they go through 1 and 2. Now the question is Morris going to play blocker for his boy?
Yeah, with as fast as Weeks has been, you never know if that's going to slow him up a little bit as he dives to the inside of Senior.
Well,
Gets
he was
past him pretty quick.
He was looking to the outside going through 3, but Senior went to the high side. That made Weeks have to take an evasive action. That's going to let Junior get a little bit of a more gap as ever so slightly Ed Morris in the 7 stretches that lead just a little bit as Weeks now with another head of steam coming down the back straightaway. Weeks seems to have a lot better run through 1 and 2 than Ed Morris does, but Morris doing what he can to hang on, and we've seen it time and time again, Mike. Catching somebody is one thing, passing them is another, especially in the closing laps of a race like this at Charlotte.
Definitely. I mean, you got to catch him, and then you got to pass him. As we see here, Ed Morris Jr. about, 0.3 seconds ahead of Dennis Weeks, followed by Jason Brewer, and then 6 seconds back to Matthew Greathouse. Justin Lemke's 3.5 back from him. Kevin Franks is another 5 back, and then Alexander Brown is almost 3 seconds back of Kevin Franks, and Ed Morris Sr.'s 5.5 back from Alexander Brown, and looks like Jeremy Knapp is logging laps in the back.
And that's really all he can do right now. I believe he's 2 laps down. Let me double check that. 3 laps down, Jeremy Knapp is. So not the night he was hoping for in the 20, as battle for the lead starting to get hot and heavy between Morris and Weeks.
Yeah, we closed that gap to less than 1/4 of a second. He's going to get right to the bumper probably this next time by.
About a car length and a half separate the 2 leaders right now, as Ed Morris in the 7, Dennis Weeks Jr. in the 97, as they are almost 11 seconds to the good over 3rd place, Jason Brewer. But, I mean, these guys are just picking them up and laying them down right now as we are inside 15 to go.
Yeah, if you're Dennis Weeks, you got to be thinking, do I just want to stay back here and kind of ride it out and kind of wait and have me make the move? Or am I going to pass him early and hope I can hold him off and block his move when he decides to make it?
Well, the other thing, too, is, and we've seen it a couple times already this season, Morris seems to have the short-run pace. Weeks seems to have the long-run pace. Weeks looks to the outside coming through the dog leg. Morris pinches him up going into 1, and Weeks has to check up just a little bit, trying to get the head of steam in the run off of turn number 2. They're going to have to worry about that lap car that they are coming up on at a rapid pace right now, as Weeks going to drop back in behind Morris and follow him for another couple of laps here.
Yeah, he got in there, closed it down a little bit, and Ed Morris said, no, I don't think so, and closed it up on him. So Weeks had to back out, and now he's going to set it up and go again.
Very much so, as these guys just in lockstep right now. The class of the field all night long, Ed Morris and Dennis Weeks Jr., as they are just flying. And that is Alex Brown coming into tonight's 2nd place in points, currently sitting in the number 7 spot, being scored as the last car on the lead lap, in heavy danger of going a lap down here, as the leaders are bearing down on him at a rapid pace, as we are currently 11 to go.
Yeah, as you take a look back here from Alexander Brown, looking back at the 2 leaders, you can see them kind of staying in line. Going to catch him pretty quick. Then Dennis Weeks is going to have to decide if he's going to try and go high like he's tried the last couple times, as Morris tries to go to the inside of this lap car, and Weeks stands right behind him. So they're through the lap traffic now.
Yeah, absolutely. Alex Brown doing the right thing, just getting out of the way of the guys that are battling for the lead here, as Morris and Weeks just in lockstep would tend to go. Morris kind of in command right now, as Weeks trying to figure out what he's got to do to get by that 7. but doesn't want to show his hand too early, as there's still plenty of time for Morris to recoup. As a little bit of arrow push for Weeks is going to drop him back off the back bumper of Morris, coming through 3 and 4.
Yeah, it looks like he just gets there, and if he doesn't make that move, you get that little bit of arrow push there, and you're back away again.
Absolutely. These cars do punch a pretty decent-sized hole in the air, so if you're sucked right up to the back bumper of somebody, you're not going to be able to make the turn with no air getting to that front valance, which is that little orange piece you'll see at the bottom of Weeks' car, and the orange piece at the bottom of Morris's car as well. Now, the orange spoilers are indicating guys that are in the playoffs here for the Maestro's Classic ARCA Series, as we are in round 1 of the round of 12.
And we have these two guys who have been leading the race just a class of the field, over 10 seconds to anybody else. I mean, Ed Morris has about a half-second lead, and here comes Dennis Weeks on the outside again. Looks like he's going to try and make the pass.
Weeks got a great run coming off of 4, goes door to door, coming through the dog leg. He's going to try to pinch Morris down going into 1. Morris gives him plenty of room right down on the white line, though, not giving an inch. No quarter asked for, no quarter given at the front of this piece, as these guys are drag race down the back straightaways, haul it off into turn number 3.
They stay door to door going into turn number 3. Looks like Morris has a little bit of better run through the corner, as Weeks is on his outside still, right at that rear quarter panel.
6 to go as Morris continues to show the way, about half a car length to the good over Dennis Weeks. Weeks going to try to cross him over, coming off a 2, gets a little bit of clean air to that front valance, as now Weeks with a good head of steam coming into turn number 3, not going to make the pass happen yet, as these guys are still in lockstep. Good run for Weeks, middle of the corner, has to back out of it as he saw Morris coming up at him.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, you see Weeks get there right to his door panel almost every time, and Morris just shuts the door and pulls away again. Got to wonder what's going through Dennis Weeks' mind. What does he have to do to get past him?
Oh, he's probably getting a little frustrated at this point, knowing that he's thrown everything except the kitchen sink at Ed Morris in the closing laps of this piece. We're currently 5 to go. It'll be 4 this time across the stripe. Morris just has to hang on for about 6 more miles.
Yeah, you got to wonder if Dennis Weeks has been just setting him up and is going to try and cross him over, go to the inside like he just did there. Got a little loose there. Had to fall back in line.
Well, he got a little loose, and Morris threw the block going into 1. So the question is, did Weeks just show his hand too early?
Yeah, I mean, now he's got to try and catch back up to him again. Is he going to try and go to the outside like he's done most of the night, or is he just going to be like, I've had enough of you, and use that bumper as a horn?
Well, we're about to find out, as we are currently 3 to go. Morris continues to show the way, Weeks in lockstep with him. As, this is something you and I touched on right after that last round of green flag pit stops. Catching somebody's one thing, passing them is a completely different ball game.
Yeah, it looks like Morris might have just been kind of playing a little possum there, so he'd have those tires left for the end here. As Weeks is back to the outside again, trying to stick it right between the fenders as he's to his door as they go through turn 1.
Popsicle sticks in the air, 2 laps to go. Weeks going to have 3 miles to get, 3 miles to get it done. Less than 3 miles now, as Morris continues to show the way, hanging strong on that low lane. Full send it mode for the 7, trying to get the gap on the 97. Here comes Weeks again. He's got 1 more lap to get it done. White flag in the air. 1.5 miles to go here in the Maestro's Classic ARCA Series.
Back side by side through the corner. Morris on the inside just has enough to pull away again, as Weeks is just trying to get there. He's trying everything he can to get that outside line to just pass him, but doesn't look like he's going to make it.
He's going to have one final shot at him as they come through 3 and 4. Weeks with a head of steam gets the run off of turn number 4. Morris with his foot glued to the floorboard, coming across the stripe by half a car length. Ed Morris hangs on for the win here at Charlotte. Dennis Weeks coming home in second. Jason Brewer still waiting for him to come off of turn number 4 as he crosses the line there. 10 seconds to the arrears from these guys. What a finish we just saw between Morris and Weeks.
Yeah, definitely. Class of the field. Wind up within a half a car length of each other after running that race. That's just amazing. I mean, side by side, the last few laps, back and forth.
Simply amazing with the racing that we saw tonight. We kind of knew it was going to come down to the Weeks Morris battle again here at Charlotte, but I didn't think it was going to be that close at the stripe. Again, about half a car length separating those two. Just an amazing race all around. We went stem to stern, 120 laps, green flag action. Jason Brewer able to hang on for third. Matt Grayhouse coming home in fourth. Justin Lemke hanging on for fifth. Kevin Franks in sixth. Alex Brown, not the night he was hoping for, coming home in seventh. Ed Morris Sr., decent night for him, coming home in eighth. Jeremy Knapp in ninth. And Mike Franklin electing to put it on the hauler early, coming home in 10th. We are just waiting for our interviewees to make their way into the green room so that we can do some post-race interviews. But Mike, I'm gonna put you on the spot here. What's your takeaway from round one of the playoffs for the Maestro's Classic ARCA Series here at Charlotte tonight?
Well, I definitely think he saw who the class of the field was, and I think he saw two drivers that said, guess what? You want to win this? You're going through us.
Absolutely correct. As Dennis Weeks Jr. Clinching most laps led here tonight. Ed Morris coming home with the victory, winning from pole. And Jason Brewer up 5 spots from where he started, putting the field on notice that, he's going to be one of the contenders for this playoff as well. But everybody's looking forward to that wild card race next week. And there's so many different things that could take place on the Roval here that it's almost crazy to even speculate.
Yeah, I mean, you're talking a road course and ARCA cars with guys that usually run, the majority of them anyway, usually run ovals. So turning right's completely different than turning left.
And Mike, I believe you got our second place finisher with you now.
Hey, Dennis, this is Mike up in the booth. You got a copy?
Or not? Well, we'll let Dennis get his mic in order here.
There we go.
There we go.
What's up, guys?
Go ahead, Mike.
Well, hey, Dennis, that was one heck of a race. Tell me what was going through your mind the last few laps there.
Oh, I knew I was faster. He ran me clean at Richmond and didn't take me out on the last lap. So I was like, I can't wreck him. So it was like, figure out a way to pass him clean. I just couldn't get it to stick in 1 and 2 on the outside. So
yeah, it definitely looked like you had the run in 1 and 2, but he was a little bit faster in 3 and 4.
yeah, actually, I was a little bit better in 3 and 4 because he kept washing up. But 1 and 2, he was just enough. And then, like I said, I couldn't quite get under him. I caught him sleeping once, but he threw a hard block, and I just didn't have the heart to ship him off into 1. So he's a hell of a racer, man. It's hard to beat him a mile and a half, but I want to get him one of these days.
Well, seeing as how this is the first round of the playoffs, what are you feeling about your playoff runs here?
I'm not sure. I think what's the Roval next week? That's,
Yeah, Roval, yep.
That's gonna be a hit or miss. There's some good tracks coming up for me, but I don't know, man. I had a couple bad weeks coming into this. I got to get some things back, so I don't know. He's gonna be hard to beat, man. That's my focus. Maybe I'll get some practice next week after the 24.
Yeah. Anybody want to thank on that car?
Oh yeah, always. I got always got Autism Speaks on this car. It's great to be back in this one. I ran the black one last week. That was bad luck, so I went back to the blue, and it ran good. Thanks to Outlaw for putting this car together. Maestro's for sponsoring the series, Ed Morris for running it, and you guys for broadcasting.
All right. Thanks, Dennis.
Yeah, you have a good night.
Good luck next week.
So that was our second place finisher, Dennis Weeks. And joining us now, driver of the number 7, coming into tonight with the points lead, putting the field on notice that if they want the championship, they've got to go through him. Ed Morris, congratulations.
Yeah, thanks, man.
So talk us through what was going on with the opening salvos there between you and Dennis. We saw that the first run, you seemed to have the short run speed, and he seemed to have the long run speed. But in this last set of green flag after the last pit stop, you were able to hold him off for the win.
Yeah, I knew he was faster in the long run, and then I mean we were pretty equal on that short run there. Maybe he had a little bit more. Maybe he was holding back a little bit toward the beginning there, but this setup was pretty rough. It was really tight, and it burnt that right front up real easy. But we made that last pit stop, and I figured he was going to do the same thing again. He was going to come in right after I did, so I wasn't able to short pit him and gain a lot of time. So I knew I had to hit pit road really good on and off and in my box to gain time there. And fortunately I did, but I wasn't able to hold him off too long. So at that point I was just focused on hitting the bottom and making sure I stay on the bottom to guard that bottom line all the way through. And honestly, that's what did it. Me being able to stay on that bottom and not get to my inside is what won me this race. Because if he would have got there, I don't think I'd have been able to hold him off.
Now, how bad did that bottom lane really punish that right front tire? I don't know if you've had a chance to take a look post race here, but just how bad was it?
The other two runs, my first run, it was really bad. It was in the 48, I think it was my right front. The second run, I saved the tires a little bit better. I ran a little bit easier. It was a little bit better. It was like 55. And in that very last run, the right front actually was a lot better. I don't know if the track was rubbered up a little bit more or a little bit more cooler, but I was at 70 on that right front at the very end, which I'm a little surprised because I was driving it harder that last run than I was the entire race. So,
well, you definitely huge points implications here tonight as you've just punched your ticket into the round of 8. What are your thoughts now going into the second half of the Charlotte doubleheader that we're doing with the Roval coming up next week?
Hey, I took all the stress off night. I buckled down and was able to get this win tonight. That, like you said, that locks us into the round of 8. And, next week when we come back here for the Roval, I can play and have fun. I've only ran that track once, so I don't have a whole lot of experience. So next week will all be about getting seat time and trying to do better than I did last season there. So I'm pretty decent on the road course, but I'm not all that great. So it'll be fun next week. I won't have anything to worry about.
So looking to possibly play spoiler here and take that possible win away from one of your contenders.
Yeah, if I can, I'll definitely try.
All right, Ed, again, congratulations on winning the opening round of the playoffs for the Maestro's Classic ARCA Series. Who do you need to thank before we let you go celebrate tonight?
Well, I'd like to thank our sponsors, Maestro's Classic. Thank you guys for all your support and helping out with the ARCA Series. We greatly appreciate that. We couldn't do this without you guys. So big shout out to the admins, all the hard work that they put in and running the show here and keeping us organized. You guys for putting a phenomenal broadcast on and showing our viewers and our fans and our families and stuff like that what we're doing out here and what we can do. And then I'd like to thank the team, Primetime Motorsports, all their support and all their hard work back at the shop and prepping for these races. Obviously, we were on the right track tonight. So good job to those guys.
All right, Ed. Congratulations on your win here tonight. Looking forward to seeing what you can do next week on the Roval.
Thanks, man.
So that was our winner, Ed Morris Jr. And Mike, I believe you have our third place finisher, Jason Brewer, with you now.
Hey, Jason, it's Mike up in the booth. Got a copy?
Yeah, how are you guys?
Not too bad. So, first race of the playoffs over. What did you think of this race? I mean, with how spread out it was.
Yeah, it was a little long, wasn't it? I was wondering if you guys were awake.
You guys definitely kept it entertaining, even though you guys were spread out. There were still battles all over the track. But how are you feeling going into, going into the Roval next week?
I'm glad I maximized what I could tonight because I'm not very good at road courses. I just wish I could qualify a little better. That way I can get a little closer because I was watching my lap times. I was pretty even with those top two guys. So
yeah,
I just
definitely
need to qualify a little better and so I can stay closer to them.
Yeah, definitely tried the pit strategy to kind of get you up there a little ways, but I mean, you still ran pretty well. You finished in the, in third position here, maximized your points, like you said. I mean, any other thoughts on this race?
No, just when we got spread out. Wish we could have stayed a little more bunched up. Yeah, well, we went 3 wide there. I think at lap 21. I hope that was a little entertaining.
Yeah. Anybody you want to thank on that car?
Yeah, I want to thank Randy and Sherry Setliff with Lone Wolf Outdoors for letting me put their logo on the car. Check them out for catfishing videos. Really nice people. And Sim Racing Development. Check them out at srdsetups.com for all your ABC and oval asphalt setups and also dirt setups.
All right. Well, thanks for joining us. Thanks for putting on a entertaining race, and good luck next week.
Thank you, guys.
So that was Jason Brewer rounding out our podium. As Mike, we had another one in the books. I'm looking forward to seeing what these guys can do turning right and left next week here at the Roval. And that track, that layout is not the easiest to get a handle on.
Definitely not. And as you heard here through our, post-race interviews, everybody's kind of glad they did as well as they did here, so they don't have to worry so much about next week.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you could hear the relief in Ed Morris's voice, knowing that he was able to punch his ticket into the round of 8, not have to worry at all about next week. But you got to think that Dennis Weeks is going to be laying down a lot of laps here in the upcoming week to try to make sure he optimizes his chances going into next week. But again, great action. Yes, it was a short field. Yes, the field did get pretty strung out. But I don't think that we could ask for a better finish than what we saw between Ed Morris and Dennis Weeks Jr.
No, definitely not. I mean, within half a car length, basically. I mean, and then side by side for the majority of the last 5 laps. I mean, that was entertaining. That is what you come to watch a race for.
Absolutely. But that is going to do it for us here tonight from the Maestro's Classic ARCA Series, round 1 of the round of 12 here at Charlotte. It's been an amazing race. Again, Ed Morris Jr., congratulations on coming home with the victory. Need to thank James Riles up in the production truck on the 1s and 2s, giving you all those beautiful camera angles all night long. Mike DeMone, thank you for joining me in the broadcast portion of the booth. This is Joey Trapasso reminding you, ladies and gentlemen, that as you walk down the road of life, please don't play in traffic. Good night, everybody.